So the Rebbe starts the Torah, Yemei Chanukah and Yemei Eidor. K'moi she'omrim v'kovu shmoinas Yemei Chanukah elu lohoidus lahalel. So we see that Chazal, it's a Chazal L'maisa in Shabbos, and we say it also in Alanissim. We say that Chanukah is Yemei v'kovu with Kaveh shmoinas Yemei Chanukah lohoidus lahalel. So we see there's a connection between Chanukah. That's why the Rebbe says Yemei Chanukah and Yemei Eidor. V'Yemei Eidor, the Rebbe says, B'chinas shashui l'mabo. Ki ze ikir shashui l'mabo lohoidos u'lahalel l'shmoi ha'godl yizborach v'lahakiro yizborach. Why? Why is ikir shashui l'mabo lohoidos u'lahalel? And the Rebbe puts another word, v'lahakiro yizborach. That's a new thing. Ki kol ma sheyoidin u'makirin oisei yizborach b'yoyser smuchin eilov b'yoyser. We're closer to him. So like that's an explanation. Why is Shashoy L'Mabo the inyan from the Hoydis L'Halal? Because when you're Moedim HaHalal, the Rebbe is not so masber why when I'm doing Halal V'Idoyeh, so I'm more makir, and I'm more somach, and I'm more yedea. But this thing that you know more about the Eibishter, and you're closer to the Eibishter, is shaykh to la'osid lovoi. Why? Ki shar kol advorim yizbatlu la'osid kulam. B'pchinas kol ha'korbono is b'teilin chutz mikorban toido. La'osid lovoi, everything, there's not going to, everything, kal shar kol advorim, we have to understand what it means, kal kol advorim, but it says that kol ha'korbono is b'teilin chutz mikorban toido. So you see that la'osid lovoi, the inyan is going to be korban toido, that's halal v'idoyeh. שלא ישאר לעוsid רק מבחינת תוידה ואידויה להוידס ולהלל לדס אויסי יזבורך כמו שכוסוף כמו לאורץ דיוס השם כמים לים החסים שזה כל ששוע אלו מבוא. So the Rebbe actually brings like a smachta, that's a posik, to show that לעוsid lovoi, the inyan is taka, the inyan from das כמו לאורץ דס דיוס השם. So since through Halal V'Idoyeh you know more the Eibishter, if you know more the Eibishter, so you shaykh to the inyan from Olam Haba, La'osid Lovoi, because La'osid Lovoi it says, Ki mo la'oretz Deus Hashem kamayim li'am achasim. Okay. That's the first Sif B'Pashtus. Now let's try to take a look at the Sif more in a way of his burniness over here. So, kama v'kama nekudis we have over here. First thing we have to be mason leiv that the Rebbe uses the word yomim over here. He makes an idea out of the yomim. He starts the Torah Yemei Chanukah, Hem Yemei Eidor. The Rebbe doesn't say Chanukah, Ze Pchinas Eidor. Yemei Chanukah, Hem Yemei Eidor. And the Rebbe continues K'moi She'omru or K'moi She'kosu V'kovu Shmoinas Yemei Chanukah Eilu Lohoidus U'Lahalel. And the Rebbe continues V'Yemei Eidor. So we see the Rebbe is making an inyan out of Yemei. Now, there could be an option that you could say, no. The reason why we're using the explanation, the bitu Yomim, is because we say, V'kovu shmoinas Yemei Chanukah. But even if so, the Rebbe, we see the Rebbe puts the dogesh on Yemei Chanukah, Hem Yemei Eidor. And it can't be a teretz to say because it says v'kovu shmoinas yemei Chanukah. Because once the Rebbe brings the v'kovu shmoinas yemei Chanukah as part of the idea, so it becomes a question also over there in Chazal. Why do Chazal express the thing v'kovu shmoinas yemei Chanukah? Chazal could have said v'kovu. B'chlal, the v'kovu also is a question over here. What's the v'kovu? V'kovu shmoinas yemei Chanukah. There's a lot of Mamoris from Chazal that they explain something about a yontiv, and it doesn't say v'kovu, and it doesn't say yemei. So we have to understand what's the idea of yomim here, and what's the idea also of v'kovu. For those that learn the Torah and the Hemshech already, we could get a certain idea. What's the idea of v'kovu? V'kovu for sure makes a difference over here. Why? Because the inyan from halacha is the inyan from kviyas. So there could be a certain idea why dafka v'kovu shmoinas yemei Chanukah, that the whole thing has to be in a mizgeres of v'kovu yomim. It has to be a kviz, and this mokim kavua has to be busy with the avodah from lahoidus to lahalal. That's about that. Another thing that we have to understand already, we have to start trying to understand and not wait for later, is what's the difference between lahoidus and lahalal. Lahoidus is lahoidus, lahalal is lahalal. So I didn't go look up the shiur of the word lahoidus or the shiur of the word lahalal, but in the first feeling, there's a feeling that I'm sure everyone could agree to it, that lahalal is more than lahoidus. It comes like after the lahoidus. Lahoidus could be a very short experience. I'd say thank you, shkoyach. A lot of times even there's something you say, you know what, in Yiddish they say, zugem shkoyach und zazan gesinnt. This means, I finished the process. I say shkoyach, it's like I said what I had to say and I go weiter. Lahalal is more, it's like going into the hidoah and making it bigger. It's like I'm telling someone, I want to tell you shkoyach. And then if I say shkoyach, I want to tell you also that I'm mamish, I have such a koros atoy for the favor that you did to me. That's more lahalal. I'm mahalal the hidoah. Now, if we want to understand where else could we find here in the Torah something that it's a dover, there's one thing, and there's something that's growing in the thing. Where could we find it? When the Rebbe says in the Hemshech of the Torah that there's inyan shezoichen lilmoid halachos ubefrat mi shezoichen lechadesh b'hem. In the Hemshech, which lechadesh b'hem is actually something that it's different than the halacha itself. Halacha is soif posek. Just like todah, thank you, is soif. It's the end of the process. I said thank you, me get aim, I'm going home. But lechadesh b'halacha is opening the halacha, and it's making it's making the thing grow. Just like the same tnuah that we have with learning halacha and being mechadesh in halacha. So we have that kind of idea over here, and I think we have it in another few places in the Torah. Maybe I'll remind myself later. So there's an idea why it's lahoidus ulahalal. I think even when the Rebbe himself is saying ki ze iker shashurim abo lahoidus ulahalal lishmoi hagodl yizborach. Actually, the Rebbe right now is doing avoidus hahilul, because the Rebbe could have said ki ze iker shashurim abo lahoidus lashem yizborach or lahoidus lahalal lashem yizborach. Why does the Rebbe say lishmoi hagodl yizborach? Right now, actually, he's doing lahalal. He's mahalal. He's saying that the Eibishter Shmoy HaGodel Yisbarach. Now we have to again speak about the idea that the Rebbe goes and says that lahoidus lahalal Shmoy HaGodel Yisbarach v'lahakir oisei Yisbarach. We have to explain to ourselves why is lahoidus lahalal lahakir. L'choyer, we have to say that l'choyer, when a person is moide to the Eibishter and he's mahalal the Eibishter, so in himself he's mefateach more of a knowing the Eibishter, because who am I moide mahalal to? And the whole hill, like if I say Shmoy HaGodel Yisborach, HaGodel, HaNoiro, whatever I'm saying, whatever I'm mahalal the Eibishter with, so it's not just coming because I'm mahalal because I know that the Eibishter is very big, so that's why I'm saying it. It sounds from the Rebbe that the etzem process from the hoidus lahalal does this thing that it makes you more being makir the Eibishter and being more samach to the Eibishter. Because l'chayr you could say that if someone says mahal the Eibishter, if he says the Eibishter is a good gibur v'anoira, all the shvachim that we say by Shmones from the beginning, whatever we say nishmas kol chai. L'chayr, the words are coming after. Since I feel that way, that's why I'm saying it. But from the Rebbe, it's mashma, ki ze ikesh hashoylum abol hoidus ulahalal l'shmei agol yizborach v'lahakir oisei yizborach sharidei ze smuchim v'kroivim eilo yizborach ki kol ma sheyoidinu makir oisei yizborach b'yoiser smuchin eilo b'yoiser. Now, for sure that we understand the tzorich, why the Rebbe had to connect and say right away over here that to be lahalal lahoidus means to more know the Eibishter more, Because the Rebbe in the Hemshech and the Siv Beis, the Rebbe says that the connection between Halal v'Idoy and Halacha is, ki Halacha is, the Rebbe says if a person learns Halacha, it's Chadish Seichel v'Yediyah. And the Rebbe says that Halal v'Idoy is also, has a shaykhus with knowing the Eibishter more. So knowing the Eibishter is a chelik, is a merkozi over here in the Torah. But the Rebbe starts off already with it right now. The Rebbe explains right now that through Halal v'Idoy, you know the Eibishter more and you're more samach to the Eibishter. Samach to the Eibishter, the Rebbe connects also later. The Rebbe says, Ba'halacha v'Hashem imoy b'David HaMelech. Why is it Vashem imoy? So the Rebbe connects because Vashem imoy is because he's samach to the Eibishter. So everything right now, all these words, mamish have a connection to the Hemshech. Another thing that we have to be nizboinin right now is, when the Rebbe says the idea, Kishar kol advorim yizbatlu le'osid kulam. What does it mean, Kishar kol advorim yizbatlu? What's the shar kol advorim? The Rebbe could right away start, Ki le'osid lovoy, ksiv, kol hakabono is beteilim, chutz mikol b'toyim. And we will have the whole idea to show that le'osid lovoy is shaykh to le'osid. The Rebbe says, Kishar kol advorim. So we have to understand what does it mean, Kishar kol advorim. What does it mean? That le'osid lovoy, there won't be any other kind of connection with the Eibishter. There won't be Torah, there won't be Tefillah, there won't be Yiras Hashem, there won't be Ahavas Hashem, there won't be Midas. What's not going to be? What's going to be Bottle Osid Lovoy? We could say, maybe Pshat is that the whole connection to the Eibishter is going to be on the way, on the derech from the connection from Lahoidus al-Halal, because we see that Lahoidus al-Halal is not just Lahoidus al-Halal that you do something with you're saying it out with words. Lahoidus al-Halal is an avoid that you're getting to know the Eibishter more. You're getting closer to the Eibishter. So it makes sense that maybe there's such idea that L'Osid Lovi, the whole connection will be based on Lahoidus al-Halal. Another thing over here, which right away you have Daf Meisim Lev Zayin, that the Rebbe says, Kishar kol advorim yizbatlu L'Osid Lovi. Shelo yishoy L'Osid rak b'chines toida v'yidoy. By the way, I'm thinking right now that also we need to explain what's the difference between toida v'yidoy. The Rebbe started him yimei hidoy. The word hidoy. All of a sudden here the Rebbe puts in the word toida. When the Rebbe comes to kolbim toida, so maybe it's the same thing. It's just since the lashon is kolbim toida, and the Rebbe started and says v'kovu shmoynes yimei chanukah lahoidois. So maybe toida v'yidoy are the same thing. I don't know. Another thing for sure, the Rebbe is bringing the pasuk to show that L'Osid Lovo is shaykh to the Indian from to know the Eibishter. The Rebbe brings the pasuk, Ki molo oretz deos Hashem kamayim liyam echasim. Why did the Rebbe have to bring the whole pasuk? The Rebbe could have said, Ki molo oretz deos Hashem, and stop over here. So, l'chari, you could say, that's what it says in the pasuk, and also it's a pasuk that everyone always uses when you want to show that the Indian from L'Osid Lovi is knowing the Eibishter. All the svarim, Kimolo, it's Deus Hashem Kamayim Liyam Echasim, and the Rebbe himself in a lot of Torahs brings this pasuk to connect the idea from L'Osid Lovi to from Das. But we have to know already right now that in this Torah it has to be that the idea and the explanation of the pasuk Kimolo, Deus Hashem Kamayim Liyam Echasim is going to get a new explanation. It's going to become something that we didn't hear from other Torahs. If we know that that's what's going to be, so we're going to be looking for it. When you be looking for the explanation, we'll be able to find it. But if we're just going to learn the pasuk, Kimol Oretz Dayis Hashem Kamayim Liyam Echasim, so it's going to go Kamayim Liyam Echasim. Sitful Midivasat Tzazam. Nothing's going to come out of it. But I'm sure that the whole pasuk, Kimol Oretz Deus Hashem, the Oretz. First of all, what's Kimol Oretz Deus Hashem? What does it have to be the idea of Mol Oretz Deus? What's the thing from Oretz? And also Kamayim Liyam Echasim. What's the explanation in those words? Let's go to Siv Beis. Someone has a question over here now on Siv Aleph something? No, it's a very simple Siv. Siv Beis. Ubchinas toida shu shiurim abo ze bchinas halochos. This in from shiurim abo, toida shiurim abo is the in from halochos. Ki halochos shezoichen lilmoid. Befrat mi shezoichen lechadesh behem ze bchinas shiurim abo. So the Rebbe says that halochos, that a person zoiche to learn, and befrat mi shezoiche lechadesh behem, that's it from shiurim abo. What does it mean? So this lashon is a lashon that's not usually in the kutamran. Either the idea is learning halachas, or either the idea the Rebbe could have said, what's the befrat over here? Now, again, we're dealing with something that we have to understand, that usually people would learn this shtickle over here and say, it's like you're telling somebody, it's a very big inyan to daven every day with a minyan. In befrat, if you get up early in the morning, you daven with a minyan, that's bechlal. In the Kutamran, there's no befrat, like it's sabisl mer. There has to be something here in the Torah that's mamish going through the whole Torah, that there's something that's very similar to learning halacha, and there's something very similar to being mechadish in halacha. We could see this process already to whoever learned the Torah Vaita when the Rebbe is speaking about the idea of Leda. L'chadesh is like something is mulad. And when the Rebbe says that the domim choizrim kesidrom, keseda sounds like the halacha is keseda. Halacha is sitting on the same idea of adova keseda. Why do you make halachas? Because when there's no halacha, so there's such a shita. There's so many shitas that there's nothing keseda. Nothing keseda, that means that a person knows how to go through the day with a seder, what he's supposed to do. Halacha brings a seder to the thing. When I'm going into the halacha and I'm opening the halacha and I'm being mechadish, that means I'm opening the thing, and then when I'm mechadish halacha, I'm making a new halacha by the end. But it's going through a process, just like the whole process, when the Rebbe explains later about the domim, that everything is going through a process. It starts, it opens up. It was keseda, the domim were keseda, they went out of keseda, and then when they go back to keseda, the Rebbe says there's an inyan from a leda. So it could be very similar, the inyan from learning halacha and also being mechadish and halacha, that it's sitting on that idea. And then the Rebbe brings like a smachta. Where do I see a connection between halacha to la'asid lovi? Since I said that toida shashul mabo, that's the inyan from halacha, where could I see it? So the Rebbe brings the chazal, b'pchinas kol hashoyna halacha is b'chol yoim, muftach lo yishubenu l'mabo. First of all, we see again the expression b'chol yoim. Kol hashoyna halacha is b'chol yoim, so the yoim is coming back in again. It's coming back into the game again. So what do we see? Kol hashoyna halacha is b'chol yoim, muftach lo yishubenu l'mabo. So you see that there's a connection between halacha with olam haba. Now the truth is that till now, the Rebbe didn't really explain the most that the Rebbe explained the connection between halal v'yidoeh. The Rebbe didn't explain what's the connection. The Rebbe just brings about this connection between halacha and la'asid lovi shashul mabo. The Rebbe brings this chazal, kol hashein halacha is b'chol yoim. What's taka the connection? So the Rebbe is like mas, but the Rebbe says mamshech kikshin ischadesh halacha nischadesh seichel v'yidiyah. When a person is mechadish halacha, it's something new. You mechadish a new understanding. So there's a new understanding. Vadas, the Rebbe says, the das, we said already in Sif Aleph that the das is the first, is the idea of das is from la'asid lovi. Knowing more the Eibush, that means I'm more connected to la'asid lovi. So if I'm learning halacha, I'm mechadish halacha, Rebbe says over here, so the question also is going to be, what's about, the Rebbe said about mechadish befrat mish zoichel achadish. But the Rebbe says, just learning halacha is also the inyan from olam haba. So it's going to be a little, we have to explain over here. If just learning halacha, there's no nischadish seichel v'yediyah. But b'chol oifen, the connection over here that the Rebbe gives to understand the connection between halacha and olam haba is, because when you mechadish halacha, you mechadish seichel v'yediyah, and when you mechadish seichel v'yediyah, l'chayr mechadish a new connection with shashu olam haba. And the Rebbe brings the chazal, kol hashein halacha is b'chol yoyim muftach lo yishubenu olam haba. So I'm saying to myself, if I don't understand enough the connection, because l'chayr the connection is not so clear. Nischadish seichel v'yediyah ba'halacha, that has to do with the seichel v'yediyah from la'asid lovi. It's two different things. If I'm learning now Hilchas Sukkah, I'm trying to understand how Sukkah Gavoy L'Mala Me'Samama, and I'm learning the halachas of the Sukkah, and I know the halacha, and I even mechadash halacha in Hilchas Sukkah, why would that understanding be an understanding that has to do with getting closer to the Eibishter? Now we could come and say that it's not different than any other parts in Torah, which we know whenever we talk about learning Torah is knowing the Eibishter. If you know Torah, you know the Eibishter. So we could say that that's what the Rebbe wants to say. What's the big question? If I showed you that learning halacha is the chadash seichel v'yediyah, so I'm connected to this idea from seichel v'yediyah. Seichel from yediyah from Torah is knowing the Eibishter more. But I think that in likutai moharan there has to be more to the whole thing. There has to be a way to be able to look. So what's the connection? The pnim is the connection between seichel and yediyah from halacha to knowing the Eibishter, in the beginning from knowing the Eibishter, makir nois v'yoyed noisei. And the main question is, why does it have to be halacha dafka? The Rebbe could have said that any kind of Torah, that the beginning from shashu elam habo is the beginning from limud ha-Torah, or befrat mishizoicha lechadash b'Torah. So we don't have an explanation yet. But after that, when we see that the Rebbe goes in and explains that halacha is a union from halicha, from domim kisidrom, so then over there the Rebbe also gives more connection to explain what's the specialty of halacha to the idea over here in the Torah. But bepashtas, the idea itself that chadash halacha and chadash seichel v'yediyah is something that is not more than learning a blad gemara, learning something else in Torah. Huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. You have an explanation for that? Okay. It's a very nice question, but I'm sure we'll have an answer. But we have to be made some lev that in every Torah in likutai moharan we have this thing that the Rebbe Latter starts off with an idea. I don't remember, we had it in Nunvov. Ki the Rebbe says Ika, and then all of a sudden the Ika goes away. It goes away. So it could be that. It could be, I'm saying, I don't know. I don't have enough emun in the Rebbe, because what I have that the Rebbe says every word is meduyik, b'midu, mishkul gottlieb, I would say right away it's a question, and we have to find an answer. But I'm saying, maybe, for now, when the Rebbe the first time wants to connect oilam habo to halal v'yidoy, so the way to say it is, ki ikar shashu oilam habo, because if the Rebbe said, ki oilam habo is a halal v'yidoy, it would sound like there's no other understanding to olam habo. When there is other kind of ways to see and understand what olam habo is. So the Rebbe starts off ki ikar, that's the ikar. But after he connected it, he doesn't have to always say the word ikar. You know what I mean? It became like halal v'yidoy b'chinas olam habo. That's maybe the explanation of it. Right. Yeah, but that's not explaining the I understand. Yeah, but it would be the same thing. If you're saying that Ika shashoil mabo is halal v'yidoy, and you're saying that halal v'yidoy is halacha, it would be the Ika halacha is shash. Yeah, okay. Enoch hanami. So let's go a little weiter. Another thing that we have to be mesim lev already right now, when the Rebbe wants to bring the raya that there's a connection between halacha and olam habo, so the Rebbe brings kol hashoyna halachas b'chol muftach lo yishu ben olam habo. What's the lashon shoyna? Kol hashoyna halachas. We can't say because that's the Chazal. I mean, the Chazal says kol hashoyna halachas. The Rebbe brought the Chazal because he wants to show you that there's a connection. Why is it shoyna and why is it not something else? No, it has to be that the whole Chazal is sitting over here in the Torah. Kol hashoyna halachas. What's the idea of shoyna halachas? And the reason why I'm bringing it up now, because there's another expression to halacha over here, which is called, the Rebbe in the Hemshech brings kol hamunei talmidui milishamshoy, and the Rebbe says that shimush chachomim, that's halachas. So we see that in halacha there's an idea that the way I'm talking about halacha, I'm expressing in a way of shoyna halachas, and there's a way of halacha that has to do with shimush. Maybe I didn't see inside. Okay, but still. But it's for shoina means you're going over. But the question, if I'm going to ask, one sec, is halacha inyan from shoina? Shoina means chazan, you're going over the halacha again and again. Or the inyan from halacha is the inyan from shimush? What sagst du? Where do you see here in the Torah these two tnuas of shoina and shimush? L'choira, domim kisidrom, the domim, that's inyan from shoina. It's going back, it's starting again and again going back. Shimush is like the inyan from ischadesh halacha. It's a new thing. Because why is taka shimush chachomim? Kol hamunea talmidoi milishamshoi, what the Rebbe speaks later, is kilu munea mimeno. What is he munea mimeno? Because shimush chachomim, you're learning something. That means even if I learned Mishnah Brura inside and I know the halacha, I'm going to be missing something if I don't have shimush. What does shimush give me? Shimush gives me something new. But it's something new that I didn't have before, I didn't know before. So it's very nice to see that we have both understandings in halacha, also in from shoina halachos, and also in from shimush.
Yeah, then the Rebbe brings, Mishazoi Chadash Bobos, as I need for shimush, bring the Rebbe of shoina halachos, the Rebbe's putting them both together.
I hear.
If Chiddush halacha is shimush,
But it would be come out the same question like we asked before, that l'chor from the whole thing but Hashoin l'chor is not mechadish. Right, so we have to understand. But maybe the understanding would be kol Hashoin halacha is b'chol yoim. Why is he b'chol yoim? Because every day he's making an ayah keseda. Sunday I'm learning halacha, but I'm also doing shimush. I'm mechadish. And after I was mechadish, the second day when I'm showing halacha, is this not the same showing like it was before. It's not the same. There's a chiddush in the halacha. So it could be kol hashayna halacha is b'chol yoim. The reason why it's ben el mabah, because b'chol yoim there's a tesefes, there's a chiddush.
Well, you say that when the Rebbe brings miftach shiva and el mabut, the Rebbe brings through the shayna, you will get to the el mabut, which is the chiddush.
Also.
Miftach shiva and el mabut, you're going to be shayna halachos, and eventually you'll get there.
Very nice.
You'll be mechadish.
Maybe. We're all thinking together.
Shayna is saying it's repeated, right?
Shayna is repeating, yeah.
The Rebbe is on the Shamish.
Yeah.
Buddha says, Kolomenei. It's not only not Shemish, it's not even once. It's Kolomenei. When the Shamish is going there, why is it not there?
That's a very nice question. But where else do we have over here one of the Torahs that the Rebbe said something in the Oifim for Shlili with a mineh, the same come out, the same idea, that we had to find an explanation to it. We had something doing. It's a very good question. How, if that's the whole idea, like the Rebbe is trying to tell me, that this Chazal expresses this idea, so why does it have to be away from Kol HaMineh? I think I have a shtickle gang. It's hitting my head, so I'll say it. The Rebbe over here in the Torah speaks about there is a koyach hamuneh. Before there's a Yeshua, there's something that goes the second side. You've learned the Torah. The Rebbe says milu yachisorim. The whole way that there could be a leader is when there's something that's doichik. It's the leiv. The leiv can't. The Rebbe says about the leiv. The leiv can't. The leiv is supposed to bring give a eitzah. But there's something disturbing him to bring the eitzah because the domim is loichitz. But l'maisa it comes out that through this lachatz, the later comes out. So I'm saying maybe there is an explanation because everything starts from a tnua that's off. Maybe ulai. Let's go weiter. The Rebbe. No, we're not holding there. We're holding. Yeah, I'm sorry. וזה בחינת ארבע צריכים להוידויס, דהיינו תוידו, שהם מפורשים במזמור קוף זין. That's the idea, this whole thing, the connection between halacha and shashuil mabo is the bchina that there's an inyan from arba tzrichen lehoidus. It says in Brochus, it says arba tzrichen lehoidus, dahaynu toido. Sheheim, these arba tzrichen lehoidus, heim ufuroshin, they're coming out of the mizmor kuf zayin in Tehillim. Shesiyim b'soifam, in this same mizmer, that the idea of Arba Tzichon Lahoidis comes out from there, the soif, from this mizmer, Shesiyim b'soifam, mi chochom v'yishmer eile, v'yizboyinu chazdei Hashem. Chazdei Hashem, ze b'chinas halochos. Let's try to be mesakim over here, before we go further. So the idea is, the Rebbe says, this whole thing, the connection between, that I said, the connection between Toida, Shashuil Mabot to the in from Alocha expresses itself in this Mizmer Kuv Zayin, because the Mizmer starts with an idea from Toida, Arba Tzichon Lahoidis, and it finishes with the idea of Halacha. So we see a connection between Hoidoy and Halacha. But where do we see that the Mizmer is Messiah itself with an idea of Halacha? The Rebbe says, because it says, V'yizboyinu chazdei Hashem. So what does it say Halacha? So the Rebbe says, Chazdei Hashem is a b'chinas Halachos. K'moi, now there has to show that there's a connection between Chazdei Hashem and Halachos. K'moi she'omer Rabbi Seinu Zal, kol ha'minei talmidoi milisham shoi, kilu minei mimenu chesed, shenemar lemas mereu chesed. From this pasuk, Chazal learn in Ksuvis, from the pasuk lemas mereu chesed, that means if you choisech from your friend chesed, lemas mereu chesed, Chazal learn kol aminei talmidim misham shoi kilu minei mimenu chesed. V'shimush chacham, the Rebbe says, a b'chinas halachos. Let's stop again over here. So the Rebbe's L'choyer brings us smachta to this idea that chesed, the Rebbe wanted to show that the mizmor is connecting between halacha to idoya. And the connection is that Soifa Mizmor is talking about Vizboinu Chazdei Hashem. And then the Rebbe has to explain what's the connection between Chesed, Chazdei Hashem, to halacha. So the Rebbe brings the Chazal, Kol HaMineh, Talmidim Milisham Shoy, which that means he's Mineh. What does it mean Milisham Shoy? There's Shimush Chachomim Ze Halachos. So if it says that if his Mineh is Talmud from being Mishamish and learning halachas, that's called his Mineh from him Chesed. L'chor you have mamish open raya that halacha is Chesed. Why is Taka Shimush Chachomim Chesed? The Rebbe is not matriach himself to bring up an explanation to it, because l'chor everyone can understand that through Shimush Chachomim you're learning something, and it says Godl Shimusha Yosem Milimudo. That's another chazal that we have. Shimush is more than learning, because that's the idea of learning. Through Shimush you're learning something. So, l'chor we're okay over here. Let's finish the first shtickle, we'll go weiter. So after the Rebbe explained that there's a connection between Chesed and Halacha, so the Rebbe says, Sheheim P'chinas Chazdei David. This idea, this connection, Pnimi, between Halacha and Chesed, which we have to understand why, what's the connection? But this thing is the inyan from Chazdei David. There's a pasuk, Chazdei David Anemonim. The Rebbe is saying this thing that David, the connection between Chesed and David, expresses the connection between Halacha and Chesed. Why? Chazdei David shalocha k'moisi, because the Halacha is like David HaMelech, k'moi sha'omu Rabbi Seinu Zal, v'Hashem imoi shalocha k'moisoi. So we see by David HaMelech, the inyan from David is Halacha k'moisoi. So if the inyan from Halacha is Chesed, it's very good why David is called, there's explanation, Chazdei David. David is the inyan from Halacha, because Halacha k'moisoi, and Chazdei because Halacha has to do with Chesed. Now, why is Taka the connection? We have to recognize right now that the Rebbe actually didn't give us a real good explanation. What's the connection between Chesed and Halacha? Eino chenami that kol amineh mitalmido milisham shoy kilu mineh mimenu Chesed. You could explain bepashtis that if you mineh from him Halacha, you mineh from him something very good. So l'chor, if you mineh from someone something good, it's you mineh from him good. It's Chesed. But everything could be that way. Anything, or anything that you mineh from a person that could be a mative with the person, could do a chesed. If I'm mineh from you to give me, I'm not giving you a loan, or I'm not doing something else for you, I'm also mineh from you chesed. So what's the connection? But the kasha would be l'choyer on the etzem posik itself, on the etzem chazal. Why did chazal express such a kind of thing that it's not a good thing to be mineh from your Talmud, to know, from being mishamish and to know halachas, kilu mineh mimenu chesed. What kind of, who expresses himself that way? The Rav. Yeah, kol mineh. He's mineh from his Talmud, halachas, so he's mineh from chesed. The pashtus. No, he's mineh from his Talmud. From his Talmud. I learned from his Talmud. Right. Right. So if I'm munea from him halacha, if I don't teach him halacha, I'm munea from him chesed. Yeah.
You're holding back from the receiver.
Yeah.
Chesed.
Right. Through that I held back from him halacha. I held back from him from learning halacha. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense a little bit. He's the receiver.
Right. The word, I understand. Like, I'm munea from him from doing chesed.
Yeah.
Very nice. I mean, I'm asking you that the lashon is funny. Even if say we would all be very clear in ourselves that the biggest chesed in the world is teaching someone halacha. Right? Let's say we'd be clear. And it wouldn't be a question, why is dafka kol munea mimeno halacha munea mimeno chesed? Like we said before, everything that you munea. Let's say we would understand that the biggest chesed in the world is halacha, and that's why halacha is chesed. Still, I'm asking with you that it's supposed to be kol munea mitalmidoi milishamshoi. What's a munea mimeno chesed? It's munea milaso isimoi chesed. There's a word missing over here. There's something missing. Right. Right.
And you may have when you're telling me, because you're not letting them be
Right. I know. Okay. I understand.
So therefore, you can't reach this chesed, which means something to put about.
Right.
So you may never many chesed. What's chesed? Chesed is chad geduled. Hashem will be b'chalukah.
Yeah.
So you may never from your Talmud to be sort of put about through not letting him be you mishamish. If you said that Hashem is halukah,
I understand.
it's the chadash.
Okay, look, very, very, very nice. But l'chayr, what you just now said would give me more of an explanation. What's so much about halacha that's such a big chesed? You're bringing up that it's not stam halacha. The Rebbe brings Vashem Imoy, that it comes out that through halacha. Halacha, the idea is halal v'doy, and halal v'doy is smuchin elov. What could be a bigger chesed?
The chesed itself is that chaz v'dovid is Hashem. So it's minaya mimeni chesed. You're being minaya.
Yeah, but okay. So I would ask the same question over here. Why would halacha, and why would being close to the Eibishter, being called that this itself is chesed?
It's chaz v'dovid. What's chaz v'dovid?
Okay. I hear. If Chazal would have spoken to me before they wrote the Chazal, I would ask them, I think that there's something I would say, please write, write it differently. The Munea Mimeno Chesed sounds like halacha itself has in its there's no other way to say it better than that. Halacha itself is chesed. That's what you have to understand. It's not because I'm doing to you a chesed. Now, if you look further in the Torah, it's not to try to understand why halacha itself would be chesed. Because when we go further in the Torah, when the Rebbe speaks about if halacha is halal v'doy, and halal v'doy is the ashpoyas chesed. Oh, right. So it could be that later in the Torah, we're mamish going to be able to say that. If we're going to be able to understand later in the Torah why halal v'doy, that's the chesed itself, and halacha is halal v'doy, so maybe then it's going to mamish sit very good. But I don't know. Mishumam, I like it's not the normal lashon. Kilu munea mimeno chesed. No, I'll make the shaila stronger even. You want to tell me that if I don't let my Talmud learn, so he's not getting educated, right? He's not getting closer to the Eibishter. So why? What's the ki'ilu over here? Ki'ilu. You don't understand what you're doing. It's like you're not teaching your talmidim. Your talmidim are going to grow up amaratzim. They're not going to know what halacha is. It didn't help. He didn't get the idea. Till I come and say, it's mamish like you munea from him chesed. Now I understood it. When you said the words munea from chesed, I got mamish. I didn't chop that part. Right? The keilu makes it even like more like you don't chop it. It's keilu. It's you don't see the same thing. L'chora, it's so clear that you munea from him a good thing. Why don't you say if you munea from your Talmud, from knowing halachis, you munea from him chesed. So the ki'ilu and the chesed, it has to sit better. Now, if the Rebbe connects over here, another thing, if the Rebbe connects already over here, David to halacha, so all of a sudden there's an idea from halacha kemoisei. Halacha kemoisei. That's a new look at halacha b'chlal. When you say the word halacha kemoisei, something else comes up in your head. Till now, we're speaking about learning halacha. We didn't go in that there's a kemoisei and shaloi kemoisei, right? We didn't get into that thing. No one said that. When we had to understand the connection between halal v'idor to halacha, how much we understood the connection. Nischadish halacha, nischadish seichel v'yediyah. Halacha it's a new seichel v'yediyah. Did we have to think into it that halacha l'maisa is something that there is halacha kemoisei, and the so on shalocha she'en kemoisei? Why does halacha over here in the Torah have to be expressed in such a way of halacha kemoisei? When I'm saying halacha kemoisei, I'm actually awakening that there's someone she'ein halacha kemoisei. Why is it so important in halacha, the fi Torah base, that there's someone ein halacha? There's two shittas, one ein halacha kemoisei, and then by the end game, everything comes over halacha kemoisei. Right. Right. So first of all, you start opening a very interesting question over here, right? How can I be mechadash halacha if there has to be someone that halacha kemoisei? That means every chiddush that I'm going to say in halacha, it's going to be halacha kemoini. No, it's not a question, because I'm going with you together. I'm just thinking about it together. What's going on is like this. That everyone could be, first of all, what's halacha? We didn't get to speak about it. What is halacha here? Halacha, does it mean, nischadish halacha means learning a Sefer Mishnah Brura, and then saying, one second, there's something over here that's not clear. We see that Klal Yisrael is a whole time mechadish in halacha. Because everything what was written in halacha is not always updated to certain situations that we have today. So you need always a new Rav to take out. There's a new Sefer in Hilchos Basar v'Cholov, because today we have a mikrogal, and today we have this. So we're a whole time mechadish in halacha. Huh? How does Chiddush HaMetzias come in over here? Right. So the Chiddush HaMetzias has to do with the Chiddush from the halacha, which is taking me to a place over here, which it's going to open up this question: what's the idea of halacha kemoisei? Where do I see the part? The Rebbe speaks later in the Torah about Achdas HaPoshut mituch pulos mishtanos. Now, the Achdas HaPoshut, that's the end game. That's the soif. V'siyim b'soifam, right? The v'siyim b'soifam. But this Achdas HaPoshut comes from a place where there's pulos mishtanos, menugodos. So it makes sense why halacha kemoisei is the whole idea over here from the in Torah base, because it becomes a place where there were other shittas, but by the end, everything ended up with one shitta. Halacha kemoisei. Another thing over here that we have to recognize over here in the Torah, and we messiah with this, the way the Rebbe brings down this shtickle over here that we learned, v'zepchiles arba tzrichin lehoidos, dahainu toido, shemu furoshim b'mizmor kuvzayin. This kind of lashon we don't find in other Torahs in the Likutei Moharan. Shemu furoshim b'mizmor kuvzayin. The Rebbe always brings k'moi shekasuv. He brings the pasuk right away. What's the mefuroshim b'mizmor kuvzayin? So you could come and say no, because arba tzrichin lehoidos itself, it doesn't say mizmor kuvzayin arba tzrichin lehoidos. Arba tzrichin lehoidos comes out of mizmor kuvzayin. So the question would be, if the whole idea that you want to connect, to show me that there's a connection between the end of the pasuk, which is halacha v'yizboinu chazdei Hashem, to the beginning of the mizmor, which is speaking about halal v'yidoya, why did you have to bring the whole arba tzrichin lehoidos? You could have started it starts hoidul Hashem, right? Bring v'zeh mashikosu b'mizmor kuvzayin. The mizmor kuvzayin would be in sugrayin, like all the marmakoymis over here in Likutei Moharan. V'zeh shikosu v'yoidul Hashem chazdei. V'siyim b'soifam v'yizboinu chazdei Hashem. No, was it me sagen? That has to be a reason why I brought the Arbeit Sichen Lehoides. What could be a connection over here in the Torah between Arbeit Sichen Lehoides? Arba Chelki Adibu. The Rebbe speaks later to us at the end of Arba Chelki. Oh, so if the Rebbe wanted to connect between the Arba Chelki Adibu to Arbeit Sichen Lehoides, that's why Ilchoira had to bring the idea of Arbeit Sichen Lehoides. But still the Lashon Shemufuroshin. Mufuroshin is something that's opening itself up. Oh, here. So we're connecting to something. I don't have a chocha to it, right? But if we let ourselves think about the question that what's the Lashon Mufuroshin, and we see something else over here in the Torah, let's go to the other part over there. V'siyim b'soifam. What do we have in Likutai such Lashon? V'siyim b'soifam v'izbeinu chazei Hashem. We don't have. But all of a sudden you think about the Torah over here. V'siyim b'soifam. The siyim is the sof. And how it comes out from the Torah over here, the halacha, the whole idea of halacha is that it's a sof. It's an end to something. Halacha kemoisi, like we spoke before. So all of a sudden, this whole lashon over here, it becomes very interesting. Mefuroshin, it's like it starts off from a place from Hidoyah. Arba, it starts from a place from a period from Pulis Mishtanes, but by the end, everything comes together to one place, V'siyim b'soifam. Another thing that we have to look over here is, the Rebbe brings the pasuk, Mi chocham v'yishmer eile v'yizboinu chazdei Hashem. Why did the Rebbe bring the whole pasuk? Mi chocham v'yishmer eile v'yizboinu chazdei Hashem. The Rebbe could have said, V'siyim b'soifam v'yizboinu chazdei Hashem. So, we have to look at the pasuk and start thinking. Mi chocham, does the Rebbe speak about a chocham over here in the Torah? Huh? Two places. Right. Tzedakah l'talmid chacham echesar. Also here, kol haminei mitalmid shimush chachomim. Shimush chachomim. And also the leiv. The Rebbe says, all the dom come to the leiv, but that's the chacham. So we have a chacham already. So okay, we have a connection. But what's nice over here is,
You have two opposite types of chacham. You have the chacham from the leiv that's looking to be menina the domen.
Right.
And we have the michocham ishmael that he's the end, that he's actually the solution.
Right. And we have kol haminei talmidim mishamshu. That means the chacham is supposed to help him, not be menayer. Oh, that's a very nice question over here. What's the tafkid from the chacham? In the leiv, it comes after the chacham. He's supposed to give an eitzah, but he's busy pushing away the domim. And over here, so that's what he's saying. Kol haminei talmidim mishamshu. That means if you push him away, if you're doing that thing, what the leiv is doing, pushing it away, so it's not good. Something over here is not sitting like, or maybe just like, but one of the big questions over here, we didn't get to the shtickle, so I didn't bring it up. When the Rebbe brings the idea about the domim coming to the leiv, because the leiv is the chacham, and everyone comes to the chacham to ask for eitzah, so the Rebbe then says that the domim aloichitz the leiv, and then the Rebbe says, ukshiyotzim atzoro, so everything goes chayz the kisiti. One thing, what's with the eitzah? What's with the eitzah? What's with the eitzah? Did he give eitzah? I'm asking with you. How did he get out of the tzor? They came to him for the eitzah. And another thing, the Rebbe brings after that another process with the domim by the leder, that the domim aloichitz amokim leder. But over there, after the lachatz, there's a leder, something comes out. What came out of here of the lachatz when the domim aloichitz the leiv? So it must be by the end of the day that there's an eitzah over here. The eitzah comes out. If there's an eitzah, comes out what brought the eitzah? The lachatz. That means you mean right. The mineh you mineh the lachatz. Efsha. What's it? We got all flying around this place. We're flying around. We're just learning 1.5 sifim in the Torah over here, and we're flying around the room. I don't even know where I began. I'm just trying to think if we're going to finish. We're going to be with another 4 or 5 sifim over here. We're not going to be able to control this whole thing. So again, mi chocham v'yishmer eile v'yizboinenu chazdei Hashem. What's interesting over here is mi chocham v'yishmer eile. That means there's something that you're in a from your shoyme the thing, you're keeping the thing. V'yizboinenu, and in what am I mizboinen? In what I was shoyme. Mi chocham v'yishmer eile v'yizboinenu chazdei Hashem. So we have two tnuas here that remind the two tnuas that we spoke before between shoyna and shimush chachomim. There's something that's kiseder, soifa dover. This is the way it works. This is the halacha. It sounds like mi chocham v'yishmer eile. The thing is closed. The deal is closed. Mi chocham v'yishmer eile. But even though you have it, you have the halacha, now you have to go in v'yizboinenu chazdei Hashem. Halacha needs izboinus. If you're saying that chesed is halacha, so what does it mean v'yizboinus? Someone's going to come and say, okay, Rebbe, I got it. Chesed is halacha, I don't know why, I know a little, berach, I got the picture. So what does it mean tak of v'yizboinu? In chesed, you could be mizboinen. But if chesed is halacha, what does it mean to be myself mizboinen in halacha? But if you remind yourself that Rebbe spoke about chiddush halacha, so there's such an inyan. So it sounds like, this will close the shiur for today. It sounds like that already now we could see that there's some process over here which goes like this. There's an inyan that everything should be kaseda, because when the Rebbe says later, yotzim atzor, the inyan is that everything should be kaseda, there has to be halacha, there has to be so in the halacha kemoisei. But the idea is all the time there should be a chiddush in the seder. And if there's a chiddush in the Seder, it should go back into Keseda. But the idea is that now the new Keseda has in itself a chiddush. It's not the same Keseda that was yesterday. So everything over here in the Torah, Sayin Alocha, Sayin Chiddush Alocha, and Sayin, the other thing when the Rebbe speaks about the Domim, about the Leiv, and whatever's going on, it sounds like one process that has one idea. That a whole time to bring into the Keseda a chiddush. But not that it should be a chiddush and it shouldn't go back into Keseda. It should go back into Keseda. But once it goes back into Keseda, there's a chiddush, that means there's a leid over here. There's a leid. Just like a yuled is that the domim choizim kisidrom, but what's the difference now? Now she has a baby. Now she's a mother of a baby. It's not the same Keseda that was before. Ad kan.